Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 61 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. Today it's going to get really weird. What's a better electrode for birch, 7018 or 6011? Stick around and you'll find out. Well, how was that to grab your attention? No, we're not going to be welding birch today. But it seems like more and more my turning projects end up heading off to being welding projects. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the lathe that I have here, this Laguna 2436, this is my favorite piece of equipment in this shop. I absolutely love it. I think for the price, it fits into my shop nicely. Let's put it that way. Accessories, I don't usually like to go out and buy accessories because I'm cheap. And so I made a wheel kit for it. I haven't even painted it yet. I think it's been on it probably since I bought it. Yeah, 2017. And I still need to paint it. But the other thing that has come to mind, not all that recently, but now I have some time to do something about it, is the tool rest that comes with this lathe is really nice. I think it is anyway. It's a solid 1-inch base that goes into the holder here. It's nicely welded. And plus it's got a hardened rod on the top of it. So the only problem with it is sometimes it's just too long. So a few years ago, I started with the idea that I was going to make a shorter tool rest. So I collected the materials that I needed. And in fact, I bent and cut this, basically this part here. So I bent and cut that, and then I put it away. I didn't have time to finish, but I had everything. So what I also need for this is a nice piece of rod like that, and this is 1-inch shaft that I'm going to clean up a little bit, but it's going to fit in there nicely when it's done, but it does go in. And the other thing that I need is some hardened rod to go onto the top like that. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to cut and weld and hopefully paint everything to make hopefully a really nice short tool rest, which I really need. So that's what we're going to do today. And it's amazing how I end up doing a lot of welding. Welding is one of the skills that I learned to do largely because of my teaching career, and it has just been so beneficial. If you're kind of like me and you like to play with different things and you don't know how to weld, buy a little welder and teach yourself how to weld, because it's worth it. Because I don't know how I would do this out of wood properly, and I've used it for so many things. And I don't sit and run, a cylinder of gas or a roll of wire all at one shot, but it's little jobs here and there, and it makes all the difference to me. So just a little plug for welding there. But yeah, we're going to do another turning project that we're going to be running the welder. So stay tuned and we'll get started. Well, the first stop on my journey to tool rest glory is my metal lathe. Now, I have this by accident, kinda, but I took it apart a couple of years ago, and that's a problem. A couple of years ago, because the auto feed on the cross slide wasn't working. I think I've kind of got that sorted out. I've been looking at it lately. But today I just need the chuck and the shaft to rotate. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and clean this up a little bit. It's a little hard going into the tool support, tool rest support. And yeah, I'm going to just clean it up. So maybe I'll even bring you in a little closer for that. That's a good idea. And I'm just going to slide. This is the part I'm going to keep. So I want to file that down a little bit. And that's going to go in the chuck like that. We're going to tighten it up. Good and proper. And then grab a single cut file. Should have cleaned these. Okay, and then, oh shoot, what you must think of me now. I forgot to plug this thing in. Oh well. So that doesn't take terribly long. There we go. All right, so we're going to turn the lathe on, and away we go. Well, I haven't done this for a while. Running like this is a little bit dangerous because of your arm over the chuck, so that's why it is best to file left-handed. Okay, well, that's a little rougher. I think what I'm going to do is actually take it out and see if it fits. But I don't know if you need to see that because it'll just be more of this.
Well, here I am outside and getting ready to expound wisdom about how I'm going to cut this bar to length with a zip disc, and I've got no audio. So it's something that I have to continually work on, and yeah, it's part of the learning curve. So yeah, here I'm going to cut the 1-inch shaft at approximately a 45-degree angle so that it matches the back of the curved part of the rest. And I managed to get everything done on the lathe. I faced the edge a little bit, or the end a little bit, just to make it look nice. And it's a lot faster with the lathe rather than doing it with sandpaper or a file or on any of the other methods that could have been used to do it. Here I'm wrapping the shaft that I want, the part I want to keep, in a piece of, believe it or not, yoga mat. You'll know why I have that in my arsenal in my shop in an upcoming video. I do some work with that as well. No, we're not going to do yoga in the shop. But I just wanted to protect that shaft. I didn't want to put any burrs or divots on it as I prepared to cut it off. Having the vise loose on top of the tabletop like that has a few advantages, but I really don't have a permanent place for it, so I just kind of sawed my way through, and there it drops. And then we're going to be moving on to the next part now that I got that cut. And the next thing that I'm cutting is approximately 6.5 inches of drill rod. Now this is 1/4 inch hardened steel, and it makes a very good tool rest cover or protector. It's pretty tough. It's hard for it to get damaged or nicked, and a good tool rest, a nice smooth tool rest, is so important. And here I'm just going to grind the mill scale off of the piece that I formed this many years ago, and I don't throw anything away, so I had this piece and it was time to get it into my project here. But the other thing that I think, I haven't really marked it out yet. I'm just going to clean that up. This is a 4.5 inch 80 grit flap disc, and they work really nice. I buy the ones from Princess Auto because, again, I'm cheap. But they seem to do the job. They probably don't last as long as a quality disc like a Walter, but they're good. They're good enough for me, let's put it that way. So here I am. It looks like it's getting fairly shiny by now. I did the edges as well and took all the burrs off of it, so that worked out well. And here I am getting back into frame again, and now we're back at the drill press. And at the drill press, I'm going to be drilling a 1/2 inch hole in the base of that curved piece. And what that's going to allow me to do is something called a plug weld. So when I weld this onto the main post, I'll be able to weld in that hole and fill that hole up with weld. And what that does, you can see I drilled that 1/2 inch hole there. That plug weld basically allows me to get weld to the middle of the shaft, which is not usually possible if you just weld from the side or from the edges. I also ground those to a bevel, like so I tried to get as much penetration as I could into this material, because this union here that I'm showing you has to be strong. There's that plug weld, so that I can weld around the outside of the circle first and then just fill the hole, and that way it's welded kind of throughout rather than just around the edges. So here I am, I'm putting on my fancy welding helmet. Sure do like that thing, but I need to make it so that I can weld inside, because this is a pain. It's 30 degrees outside. It's windy, which is bad for MIG welding. I'm hot. There's sun and shadow. I can't see anything. And all the things that, that you like to have in place when you're trying to make a quality weld just aren't there. So I did the best I could, and I guess that's all anybody can ask. But my shop is going to get cleaned up to the point where I can do limited amounts of welding in my shop. So here I am. I'm just tacking the main post on first. Once I get a couple of good tacks on it, then I can take it out of the vise and look at it and check it for square, because the tool rest has to be parallel to the center line of the lathe, which is really important. And I'm looking at it now, and I think I'm happy with it. It's hard to tell. I'm so smiley that day. And here we go. Now I'm plug welding. When I do a plug weld, I usually weld around the outside circumference first to get the two materials to join together. And then I fill the center in, and that's what I did here. There were a couple of low spots yet. I went back and did a little bit, but I really shouldn't have, because the wind came up, and the welds that I put in there, basically they had porosity in them, which means that the shield gas is blown away. And here I am just touching up the side a bit more, trying to make it look good, so I have enough weld in place so that I can always grind a little bit out if I want to, but I didn't want to have to fill in later. So I just kept picking away at it, and eventually I was happy with it. So yeah, welding outside isn't great. It just doesn't work properly when you're running a MIG with shield gas. But we made it work, and I've used this tool rest now. In hindsight, it is strong enough. It's going to work just fine. So, and that kind of gets me, where am I now? Oh, I got to weld the 1/4 inch drill rod onto the top. I was quite concerned about welding this because I didn't want to introduce so much heat into the drill rod in case there was a possibility of changing the metallurgical qualities of the drill rod. Drill rod is hardened rod, and I didn't want to put enough heat in it that it changed that. So here I am just spot welding it on. Welds are about 3/4 of an inch apart, and I had a nice V on the top of the flat piece, and then the rod on top of that. There was lots of room for the weld to get underneath, and I dealt with the rest of it after. Here I just flipped it over, and we're going to go after it again. I did have some contact tip trouble that I edited out here because nobody needs to see me change contact tips. But yeah, if your welder isn't welding quite the way you think it is or think it should be, replacing the contact tip is a good place to start. So that's what I did. And here I am just about to the end of the welding, and I think this is where my sound kicks back in. So I'll leave you at that.
And it's the next day. We're back in the shop. I really, really wish I could weld in here. A lot of the issues that I have with the welding on this, which aren't serious, are because I lost shield gas in the middle of a weld. But anyway, I'm quite happy with the way this turned out. A little bit of grinding. I've got the flap disc warming up here. I'm just going to grind a little bit and show you kind of what I'm doing and to what level, and then maybe I'll bring you back when it's clean, and then we'll mask it and paint it, and that'll be it. So, but I wanted to explain one thing. I'm not sure, I haven't edited anything yet from yesterday, so I don't know how, when you saw me welding like this, the reason I had it like that is because there's a little ledge here that was exactly the right height to get the rod in the right place on this piece here. So that's why I did it like that. It worked out really well. And I'm quite happy with the rough shape of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in a vise. And I don't want to grip it too hard because I don't want to mar the finish on the post that I meticulously made yesterday. And I'm going to start grinding on this one here, the plug weld. And I think I'm going to turn a little bit so I don't hit the camera. And away we go. Well, I think between the two of them, I'm going to make this look better. I might have a little bit of a gouge left in it from this, and I think if I get really, really fussy with this, I know how to cheat a little bit, and I think I would use maybe a little bit of auto body filler just to make everything nice and smooth before I paint it, because my goal with this is to make this nice enough that when other people come into my shop, they think I bought it. That's what I'm after. So, okay, we'll bring you back when I'm kind of on to the next step. Okay, well, I finished grinding. I didn't actually grind as much as I thought I would because I didn't want to put divots and stuff into the surface that later I'd have to fill and deal with. Plus, I didn't want to affect the structural strength at all either. So what I did, though, off camera, is that and I didn't show it to you, is I filled where the hardened rod goes on to this part here. I filled both sides with epoxy, JB weld to be exact. When I was welding, I didn't want to put a solid bead all the way across. Now there is an individual whose video I watched a while ago on YouTube who they just put their rods on top with epoxy. And I don't know, I like a more, I like a mechanical connection that I know I can trust. And my welding, even though I'm a carpenter welder, I feel better about this. Now I did leave ample space, so let's see if I can set this down. The top of this plate here was ground into this profile so the rod could sit on top. So this way, this epoxy can get underneath the rod and first of all make it smooth and make it look nice, And secondly, add a little bit of structure to this as well. So that's what I did. And I also, rather than grind this all out, I just put some filler in. I think I could have done a better job had I had the welder inside when I did this. But for what I could do, this is the best I could do. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to let this dry. This is only the 5-minute stuff. I wish it was the 24-hour kind because I think that's infinitely stronger. But I think this is just the 5-minute stuff. I don't even know what I had. It says JB Quick. Quick implies quick. So we'll let this dry, and then we're going to sand this out and sand everything again. And then I'm going to do maybe some spot filling with auto body filler, just get everything nice and smooth, and then it's going to get ready for paint. So like I said, hopefully somebody will look at this and say, I didn't know that that lathe came with a short tool rest. So that's what my goal is. So anyway, we'll let it dry, and we'll bring you back when I move to the next step. Well, I did a bunch of work off camera. Most of it was just filling and sanding. And I'd assumed that, maybe falsely slow, I don't know, but that you've seen that before. So here's a little bit of a close-up of what it looks like now. It feels pretty good. I have a couple of little holes here yet that I should maybe go back and fill, because when I'm turning, the feel is going to be important. So yeah, overall I'm quite happy with it now. I think we're going to get ready for paint. I would like to be able to smooth that off a little better, but I don't think I'll be able to. Putting it back in the lathe, and that's a lot of sanding, and I don't know, I'm going to have to paint it down here a ways anyway, so I don't know if I'm going to bother. I'm being so fussy with it now, and you drop it on the floor 2 or 3 times and the paint's going to chip off anyway, so I think I'm going to just now get it ready for paint. And that's what you're going to see next. You're going to see me getting it ready for paint. And then I'm just going to rattle can this. I've got a partial, hope I wasn't too far forward. I have a partial can of Rust-Oleum here that I'm going to try to use up. So, and yeah, that's going to be next. And then this project's soon done. Well, I keep getting a little bit ahead of myself. I keep forgetting that I've got the camera, or I should have the camera running. I'm just going to quickly finish taping this off. I already did the top. And, oh yeah, I should have, oh well, it's just tape. I think this is going to work out really nicely. I've wanted to do this for a long time. In fact, I started this project quite a while ago. And that's maybe one thing we're going to need to talk about at the end of this a little bit. Okay, so now it's masked, and I'm going to have to hold it while I spray it. So I'm going to put the gloves on so I don't get my hands completely black. And okay, let's get this right. Yes, here we go. Okay. There, that'll work. Okay, so let's give it a spray. I find that if I keep moving it, if I got it a little bit heavy at places. I think that's good enough for now. But if I keep slowly manipulating it, I won't have, no, get sidetracked. It's harder for it to form bubbles and have runs and things like that if it's moving. This stuff dries pretty quickly. I think that's going to look really nice. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, I'm going to spray another coat. Do the tipsy-turvy again. Keep it moving. Well, as you can see from the short turning clip, I'd say this project is a success. It looks pretty good. I think it looks kind of similar to that. The only difference is this metal here. Let me see if I can. This part here is 1/4 inch thick on this one, and probably about maybe a little bit more than 1/8 on this one. So maybe not quite as hefty, but I turned a little bit with it and it seems to work just fine. So I think I'm going to call this a success. And now I have my 6-inch tool rest that I needed for this lathe. So maybe just a little bit of a recap here. I noticed that since I had this piece formed already long before I started shooting this video, I didn't explain very much about that piece. So maybe what I'll do is just go through the whole thing and tell you exactly what I used. So the stock here at the bottom, like this part here, is 1 inch. Sometimes I think it's a difference. You're looking at needing about 6 inches of it. Although it was nice to have a piece that was twice as long, because then I could chuck it in my metal lathe and use it to just clean it and polish it so it slid into the receiver here properly. Now depending, and don't quote me on this because I am not a steel expert, but I think it makes a difference as to size, whether it's cold rolled or hot rolled or whatever. There are some different steel configurations that 1 inch may be a little bit too big for your lathe receiver. So my advice would be, before you go to the steel place, maybe take a fairly accurate measurement. Don't assume it's just 1 inch, especially if you don't have any equipment to make this smaller. Although what you could do is probably mount this between centers on your wood lathe and with a file and sandpaper get it a few thousand smaller. That would work. So yeah, the shaft, about 6 inches worth of shaft. This curved part here, I'm so sorry I didn't really tell you anything about it. I'm still getting used to making video. So basically, there'd be a couple of ways you could do this. You could go to your scrap metal dealer and find a piece of pipe and cut this curve out of that piece of pipe. That would work. I'm not even exactly sure how I formed this. I didn't do it with a die in the press because I didn't have a press that was working when this got made. So I'm not exactly sure how, I don't remember how I did it. So, but a pipe would work. Taking a piece of flat steel and heating it up and pounding it over a form would work. There's a lot of different ways to shape and form metal, so you could do any of those. But finding a diameter of pipe and then cutting that up would probably, could potentially be one of the simplest ways of doing it. This I just cut, I'm pretty sure I would have cut that with, probably with a zip disc in my my grinder, or my angle grinder. But yeah, sorry about that. The other piece that I added is, oh, this is just a hair over, well, it's 3/8 over 6 inches of 1/4 inch hardened rod. This is drill rod. So I wasn't exactly sure of the metallurgical properties of this metal, and I didn't want to put too much heat into it when I welded, and that's why I did what I did. So, and you can watch that in this part of the video. So, but that seems to have worked out really nice. I sure like the hardened rod on my Laguna tool rest. And the idea was to kind of make these look the same. And their welding's a little neater than mine. I'm sure the robot that's doing it welds a lot more than I do. But other than this here being thicker than this, and had I looked at that now, I might have changed all of this. But since I had this piece and I never even questioned it, I just assumed I did my research when I cut this out. And I guess I should have maybe made it a little heavier. But the rest of the processes seem to work really good. I'm quite confident with my joint between the rod here and the rest itself. I think that plug welding was a good thing to do because it basically got weld penetrated right to the center of the rod. So I think that's going to hold up well. I think the drill rod on the top here is going to stay on really well. I think I made myself a durable tool rest. So the other, and I did talk about it a little earlier, the other major problem to reproduce this thing the way I did it is the welder. Now the metal lathe, you can get away without that. But I needed the welder to do this. I've always felt that to be a good turner, you need to understand a little bit about metal working as well. And I'm not saying I'm a good turner, but my skill set is such that I've worked with a lot of different things. So I just happen to be okay with a welder. Okay, not great, but okay. And if you're into craft and playing with things and experimenting, as I've mentioned in previous videos, a small, MIG, or even a stick welder, something cheap, would get this little bit of welding done. You don't need that 250 amp, light industrial MIG like I have. The only reason I have that one is because I got a wicked deal when the school sold out. So that's why I have what I have. But other than that, this was a fun project to make. It's something that I've wanted to do and to have for a long time, and I finally have it. So does it look like it came from Laguna? I hope so. I guess we'll find out though when I maybe resume having Hub City Turner classes in the shop again. I'm sure somebody will see it and comment, and we'll find out. Unless they watch this video, then they'll know. So anyway, with that in mind, everyone, it would be great if we could get a few more subscribers and a few more watch hours. That would be wonderful. So Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm thinking we might have another kind of different video coming out on the weekend. So I'll have to see how things work out. I'm having my doubts about doing a video a week or 2 videos a week. I'm finding I'm getting too busy, and I've got some other things that are starting to take off, and I may need time for those. So we'll see. I'll let you know in advance if I decide to go back to 1 video a week. But anyway, yeah, like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.